This is a Sunday questions video where I try to ask the questions that I would ask somebody Sunday morning if I hadn't seen the game the night before. And this is Pitt week. Well, I don't suppose you're going to be surprised that the first question is whether or not the defensive backs will improve their coverage. I really suspect that Ruffin and Bishop will be the starting corners this week. That should take care of a fair amount of the problem. It seems that Wilson Lamp still needs some time. Of course, he needs some game experience. He's at that point, but he's not making mistakes in practice, but is making them in the games. He's taking a step or two in the wrong direction, not looking where he should. Got to get that cleaned up. Of course, he didn't start as a defensive back. This is a relatively new position that he started when he came to WVU, so, hey, learning curve issues are to be expected. He's still young. Be patient. Not clear just how much problem there may be among the safeties. Some people are saying that Wilson and Cobb are looking too slow. I have not studied that. Some of the problems at corner are a little easier to see. But Wilson got in late. Cobb was here for spring. But both of them are stepping up, and they're in a new system. So again, learning curve is not a surprise. The question will be how quickly they step up. I believe they all will. Now, we should have Marcus Floyd back this week, and this is his second year at this level, in this system, at the safety position. That makes a big difference. And he was playing significantly better in the last 4 games last season. So I think he will be something of a stabilizing force among the safeties. Don't know that he'll get the start. And still, he will probably play. But I don't know if he'll be healthy enough or ready to start. But I still think the problems are going to reduce and essentially go away. Next question is, did the rush maintain containment on the quarterback and running backs for that matter? Had a bit of a problem letting the QB get to the outside, which also puts more pressure on the defensive backs, gives the receivers a bigger advantage, and it's been the reason for, or one of the reasons, for some of those big completions. So, got to get the pressure, but got to keep the quarterback in the pocket. For one thing, it's harder to tackle him if you let him get away. Keep him in the pocket, and if one player doesn't get the sack, there should be somebody else on the way. I do expect him to bring pressure. We'll be seeing 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 players coming at times. And they've been successful getting pressure, getting tackles for loss. The issue has been containment. And what has become the perennial question: will the defense get takeaways? We saw 2 interceptions last week, at least one of which was directly due to the pressure from the front seven. Of course, that always increases takeaways. Get the pressure, get the quarterback off balance physically and mentally, and things start to go your way. They don't all have to be interceptions. We need to get some fumbles. I have not really been seeing attempts to strip the ball. And of course, the defensive backs have kind of been concentrating on doing the right thing. And I think, it is a matter of still having to think too much, and the game, is getting in the way. They think they're fine in practice. In the game, they start to think, then react. And thought and action have to be essentially simultaneous. It has to be trained instinct so that you react instinctively, but you also react correctly and quickly. I expect the defense to get better and better as the year goes on. And of course, the front seven has been very good already. No quibbles there. Lathan might have some issues on coverage. He's young. It's another of those to be expected things. But he's doing well. And overall, I think we're in good shape. Haven't heard a lot from the spear position. I'm not sure how much of that has been our players, how much has been the offenses being run, the schemes, and how much has been the announcers failing to point things out. I know McLaren did get, I believe, a sack, or at least a pressure, last week. So we do have guys playing spear. On the offensive side, the question is, did Green settle down faster and get off to a better start? We've pretty well documented now that he gets a little too overhyped, overexcited, I should say. And early in the game, he is prone to overthrowing the shorter intermediate passes. He's not in his groove. He's a little hurried, out of sync, and then he starts to settle down. If he settles quickly or simply eliminates this problem, which eventually he will, he's not going to have this problem all season. But if he settles quickly so the decisions are, again, instinctive and accurate, and the passes are smooth and accurate, then we're going to have a really good game. Against Duquesne, we had some more drops. We had some guys out. So, next question on the offense is, who will start at receiver and who will catch the ball? I don't expect any changes in the starting lineup. I expect Carter, Fox, and Braham to be the three main starters. I do expect Clement to play at the X. He may move into the number 2 spot ahead of Aaron. I think they still want and need to get Braham going, get his confidence straight, and just kind of get him into the flow of things. We need him. Clement is good. He's super fast. But the coaches have said he does remain inconsistent. Like, redshirt freshman, young, learning curve. And his blocking is not what it needs to be. And he's got to get his act together there, because wide receivers got to block. So I expect him to play. How much he plays will depend on his consistency, as well as the consistency of Braham and Aaron. I do think the number of drops will reduce. There will always be some drops, hopefully not just the flat out perfect pass that goes through the hands kind of drops, but there are always drops. Preston Fox got his catches last week after dropping a touchdown pass. That should help him. He should feel a little more relaxed, not as tense about, oh my gosh, am I going to drop another one? So, again, things should get better as we go. Still happy with the receiving core overall. I think it's very good. This game is going to tell us a lot, of course. I do want to see more out of Carter, naturally. We need to get Taylor involved, naturally. I want to see Noah Massey get some catches, at least some targets. Gallagher and Ray are going to play, assuming no injuries. We need to see Ray make some catches. He's got to get that to kind of get over some of those drops he's had. And we've got to have Gallagher make some plays without the freshman mistakes. He knows that. We know that. The coaches know that. But it does get in your head. So he needs to make the big plays that he finishes well, just to get himself settled down. Last question. Did the offensive line open holes for the running game? They did not do that well against Duquesne. They did it pretty well against Penn State. So I have to think that the starting line just did not have their head in the game. They were not psyched for Duquesne, maybe thinking about Pitt, and they did not open holes. We should have had some gashes. We should have had more runs over 20 yards without having to depend on Jaheim White to do it. So the offensive line has got to start opening holes against everybody. I do, again, believe they will. I think they're going to come into this game mad at themselves, psyched for the game. And that should result in a big running game. A lot of people are predicting over 200 yards. I see no reason why we shouldn't be able to do that. Should be able to get close to that against almost everybody we play this year. Maybe everybody. Of course, they also have to pass protect, which they should be able to do well against most teams. We may see some odd blitzes, and they'll have to adjust. Green will have to adjust. I'm not really going to get into the running backs because I don't have any big questions there other than who's going to have the biggest game. Curious to see if Justin Johnson plays, if he's back from his injury. But no big question about the running backs. I think if we get the answers we need to those questions, it's a very solid win. If some of these things don't work the way they should, we can still beat Pitt. This is not a one-dimensional team. But I, of course, would like to see a solid game and a strong win. And of course, solid game means relatively few mistakes in any phase of the game. So I'll be back, I expect on Sunday, maybe Saturday night, especially if we don't get a 2-hour storm delay. And we'll talk about the answers to these questions as historical fact instead of theory. I'll be back for more videos other than that. See if I can come up with anything else to talk about for Pitt. We still have maybe some, well, we've got the coach's show coming up. Don't know if he'll say anything new. But if there's things to say, you know, I'll take the opportunity to talk. I hope you'll come back and take the opportunity to listen. I'll see you then. And after we beat Pitt. So long.